it's showing the same to watching Ms. Marvel Season 1, Episode 5, Time and Again. This is the penultimate episode. I'm sorry there's been a gap in between, but I am feeling better, more up to it. I haven't overworked myself, so my CFS has not flared up too badly at all, and I'm excited. The last episode, I don't know if Kamala's like literally in the past, or if she's just having a vision of the past, but either way, I'm really excited to see what happened, and for her to see what happened, to get even more in touch with her legacy and where she came from, and this power that she has. And I'm also very stressed, because if we're going to have at least part of the episode delving into the past, which Time and Again does suggest, that doesn't leave much time for everything in the plot to be wrapped up in 2 episodes, but I'm excited. Reminder that you can find the unedited version of this reaction on my Patreon, and let's go. This is not taught in schools in the UK. Like, given... I mean, the British Empire is hardly touched on it. I studied history all the way up to my undergraduate degree. It's like... Admittedly, but undergraduate level, I don't like modern history, so I prefer, like, sort of Tudors and Stuarts backwards, when Empire stuff had barely started, all the way back to, like, I prefer, like, old history to more modern history. We barely learn about the impact that this country had on the world, and you have to learn it as an adult, and there are still people in this country who are very, very resistant to the idea that the Empire was not good, when it is literally just factual.
I don't use it much anyway.
This is the grandfather.
What do you want?
Can I help you with anything?
No.
Trusting, I don't blame her.
No, thank you.
He seems like a good man.
Thank you for making a home for me here.
Yup. It's sad to think that there's not a happy ending to this story. Not this generation. She told him where she comes from, yeah?
She looks at you as... क्योंकि मैं मुसलमान हूँ.
माफ करना भैया, पुराना मानना परेशान है.
कोई बात नहीं, सब लोग.
It's awful. Who's outside, a clandestine or someone, like, local with prejudices?
We can put our plan into action.
She doesn't want to anymore. She's come to care for this place and these people.
Don't you want to go home? And then we will all go home together.
Yes. She lived her life as peacefully and perfectly as she could.
We can take our memories with us.
So long as
No one should be forced from there.
Anywhere, Hassan.
These poor people. Nobody should live through anything like this. Nobody should do this to other people. It still happens today.
Who's that woman you were talking to last night?
He'll always blame himself for having stopped.
I
To a
need to
degree.
show something. Whatever happens, make sure Sana gets on that train tonight. Promise me, Hassan.
It's just horrible knowing how this ends.
Nothing is going to happen.
Oh Lord.
Sana's not safe. You have to take her with you.
What? Aisha! Sana.
Oh.
Haji mein saath.
She's a scared child. Who'll never see her mum again. Unless Aisha's alive somewhere, she might see her as an older woman, but her
Your back
father
hurts.
never
Your
will.
family, your people.
Oh.
I'll find it if it's the last thing I do.
She didn't have to kill her. That just shows you who this woman is. You betray me, therefore you die. Because there was no need to kill her right there, and then you can still go hunting for the bangle, whether she has it or not, whether she's running around or not. You could just be like, you don't get to go with us, we cast you out, or whatever, like she did to her own son. But no, to this woman, she's like, you get murdered because you dared to betray me. And people always believe she left her family. The trauma of this. The last act was to make sure her little girl felt attached. Or to call for somebody to come one day. Maybe. I know, sweetheart.
Aisha, what happened to you?
Bangle worked. Get Sana on the train and protect that bangle.
I wondered if she'd be able to do it.
To me. Because you are here.
She thought to be a great daughter. She didn't deserve to have to be here while she died, but I'm so glad she wasn't alone. And it's just so awful that people assume she left her family and fled, and nobody's like, oh, in the chaos of the trauma of this night, maybe something terrible happened to her. You were the stars that are gonna light you to safety.
Sana! It's okay. I thought you had... I can't do stars, Nanny, but I need you to jump, okay? Ready? And go!
She's guiding her.
Let's go, Nana!
Oh. Stars. She was able to do it. Aisha would be here if she could.
It was me.
The trauma of this. And how real it was for so many people. Like I keep saying, but still how real it is. And you get these right-wing idiots today who just don't want to help other people. Oh my god, they were seeing the train because she called to them. I'm okay. And that's why her nanny saw it, was because she was calling for her as well. Oh my lord, they opened a portal of some kind? We need to stop that. Is she... I really want her mum to find out the truth about her family. To find out that Aisha didn't abandon the family. To find out that her mum wasn't crazy. And to just learn about her own legacy. Or not. Oh my god, we need to close this. Sweet girl.
I can make it.
Stupid woman.
I don't.
Whose fucking fault is that?
I left him behind.
So go back and get him!
Exactly.
All Aisha ever wanted was to be with her family, and you took that from her!
Love you, sweetheart.
Her too.
You're right.
She's too good for this world.
I can close it.
Kamala.
Holy shit. She put its power into him? Unexpected.
What are you doing?
You don't believe now.
Light girl?
Yes.
Our family is magical. Wouldn't have told you so many
So
times.
good that she knows.
This is for you.
Hummy? Abu?
I love you so much.
Two people fell in love and created something much bigger
They did.
than either of them would have.
This feels like a finale. It just changes everything for her mum as well, to know that it's all real and it's part of her legacy, and that both her daughter is amazing, and that like it just changes the whole weight of the family history you carry. Oh,
For you.
very sweet.
It's Kamala's. It broke.
What does that mean? What's the significance of that? Oh, they're so close.
Oh my
It was the journey I was intended to take. One that would bring me back to you.
This is lovely. He has to be the person Cameron goes to because he doesn't know anybody else. That well, at least, that we know of.
Brian.
Still calling him Brian.
Bruno. Oh my god, I genuinely thought your name was Brian this whole time.
Oh, no, I had noticed the first 4 times that...
Sorry.
Oh, okay, that did seem genuine.
No, I need to stay here so my mom knows where to find me.
Oh,
She left you behind to fend for yourself. What makes you think she's...
sweetheart.
Don't just leave me behind like some kind of orphan.
So you're good. We'll just stay here. We'll figure it out.
Oh,
Well, I don't know if you're hungry, but my Nona's out of town. She left some...
oh God.
I've been followed. We have to go.
Well, I know what the finale's gonna be about.
You have powers too?
Oh no. I love this episode so much. It has emotionally wrecked me and destroyed me, both from the depiction of just the love between her great-grandparents, the love they found with each other, how it changed Aisha's view on the world and on the sacrifices she was willing to make, and how on that desperate night she would have done anything to be there for her family, but she gave everything she had to save them, to make sure her little girl found her way home. And the fact that it was Kamala who was the one that was able to do the stars, that was able to be the one that guided her there, that saved her, and all this time that angel was her, is a lot. It's also just awful to think that throughout time, you know, people assumed that she just ran off and left them. Now, I don't think her husband ever would have, except maybe on his darkest nights when I think everyone has dark doubts that creep in. But the chaos of what was happening, you would think, did she just ditch us? Did she just leave us? But I also think, have some basic compassion in that night of the chaos of it. What if she just freaking didn't make it on the train and something happened? You know, what if there are so many scenarios that could have led to her dying, bleeding out on a cart like this, like what happened, that aren't her just casually ditching her family. I'm so thankful that they now know the truth and that Kamala's mom knows the truth and she's in on it. It's just so beautiful. It shows yet again the repercussions of the British Empire and also of racism and religious zealotry and bigotry and prejudices, and those things are still very much being felt in the world we live in today. And there are people who don't think we should help people who are suffering as a result. But those same people, if they were in that position, would immediately expect help. So I think this show, it highlighted the horror of partition and just what it felt like to go through it as much as any show can to a person that has not lived through it. Anybody that wasn't aware of what happened or of the scale or horror of it will now have much more of an inkling. I know for me it was the Doctor Who episode actually on the covered partition, but I was like, I'd only vaguely heard of it, but I didn't know it was anything like what it was. I knew that like India used to just be India, and now there's Pakistan and I believe Bangladesh also, like from the land that was just India. But I never really was taught or understood the full scale of what happened. Hopefully this show will have prompted some people to look into that as well, because yeah, how and everything, it's a lot. And maybe it can help encourage people to have some sympathy for people who are struggling in the real world. But just to see the love they found, and like she said, it created something bigger than they could have ever imagined. And I think I got a comment on the previous one that people weren't happy that the clandestines weren't explored very far, like we lost one in that episode and now they're like all gone. I don't mind it unnecessarily. I kind of get what you mean, but I also feel like this show isn't about them. This show isn't called The Clandestines. The show is called Ms. Marvel, so it's about her. And I think they existed for her story, and that is all they needed to exist for. But in that moment in the fight, when she has just come back from seeing her great-grandmother die, but great-grandmother wasn't alone, and she got to know that her granddaughter had to be okay because there's this girl who calls her nanny. Just, I'm fine. The trauma of what Kamala saw, but also the magic of it, is something truly special. And she got to kind of, I feel like she brought some healing to this generational family trauma and some sort of a proof that everything you said happened that might happen. Your mom loved you and she was giving everything she could to be there for you. I'm glad, I can't remember her name, Kamran's mother didn't get a happy ending because she's just evil. I get that she was desperate to go home, but being willing to kill everyone in another world to do it does not make you a likable or sympathetic person. And even killing Aisha, she didn't need to do that. That was just purely, you turn your back on me, fine, now you die. Which is an evil person's move. A good person is just like, okay, cool then. We're no longer going to have anything, like, I will hunt you down to find the bangle, but then, like, that is it. But the fact that when it came down to it, she was going to just go through that portal and she was telling herself, no, I've lost my son, he's turned his back on me. But it was Kamala pointing out that Aisha would have done anything to be with her family, and I do think she probably down the line did feel quite guilty about having killed her old friend. I don't think she necessarily regretted it. We didn't see any sign of that, but I think you probably would be like, oh yeah, that wasn't my finest hour. And probably also, especially when she had her own child and when she realised that Aisha had a family, and she kind of knows how that conflicts you a little bit. But she just ditched him in the previous episode. Absolutely awful and heartless. But in this one, when she was able to kind of be like, think of your son. Think of what Aisha would have done to be with her family. And think of your son, don't leave him alone. And that just shows you how good Kamala is. Because she could have been like, so angry in that moment. Her entire emotion could have been like, you killed my great-grandmother. You destroyed my nanny's life. You affected this world in such an evil way. I don't give a shit what happens to you. But she really wanted her to live for Kamran because she knows he doesn't deserve to lose everybody. And that shows you the strength of goodness within Kamala. It's why she's now one of my favourite MCU characters. I'm so excited to see where her journey takes her. And I do like that in the end she was able to give her life to stop this. I assume she's dead. To close the portal in a way, and I guess the energy had to go somewhere, so it went into Kamran. I mean, well, they're gonna touch on all this. She gave the energy to her son. In a way, her last sacrifice not only empowered him, which will help keep him safe, but didn't destroy the world he was currently living on. I hope that brings him some peace. You know, he's going to be pretty traumatized and upset because, you know, we see him and he's there like, oh no, my mom's going to come back to me. It's all going to be fine. Genuinely, like, I don't think if I hadn't already been crying and, like, I kind of got myself through the crying, that line when he was like, oh, my mum, I have to be here so my mum can come back for me. Like, this child was abandoned by his mother. He was literally going to abandon him to go to another dimension and let this world be destroyed. And yet he was still like, no, my mum's going to come for me. Absolutely heartbreaking. I think in some ways the fact that she died for him will be a bit like, well, you know, she didn't totally abandon me. But he will also think, was there another way? Could she have tried to find another way? So that was huge. For Kamala's family, I think this is going to be a really special and magical moment going forwards. You can already see that we always could see the love was there between her mum and her grandmother, but now the years of resentment, there is an understanding that wasn't there before, and that couldn't be there before. And I understand neither of them is to blame for it not being there before. So I absolutely loved seeing her family and how together they were. And I guess the next episode is going to deal with the fallout from the damage control, whatever the frick they're called, Kamran, the fact that Bruno's home has been blown up, at least the shop has been blown up, and he will be known to be with him. Kamala, they'll probably figure out who she is as well. You know, that is going to be a lot of the finale, which is going to be stressful in a whole other way to this one. But I'm excited to explore more of Kamran's powers, to explore Kamala's new dynamic with her family. And I'm also intrigued when Bruno said, you know, his parents aren't... I mean, I had obviously noticed we never saw his parents. He was always being invited to things with the Khans and to, like, eat at their house for dinner, and he was often working in the shop. I just kind of assumed his parents worked a lot, you know. Is that what he meant by the aren't around more? Are his parents genuinely dead and he's like an emancipated teenager who lives above and runs a shop? Either way, it's quite stressful and sad. But you definitely knew things weren't great in his home life with how we'd seen it. But I'm excited for the finale. This episode was phenomenal, absolutely fantastic. It cemented the fact that Kamala is one of my favourite MCU characters. She already was there, but it cemented her place, and I'm so excited for the finale. A reminder that you can find the unedited version of this reaction. Oh my god, I can't speak. A reminder that you can find the unedited version of this reaction, which became reaction, on my Patreon. And thank you so much for watching.